don't. Give me a good argument.
Oh, you made me late. Is it recording? Yeah. Okay. Here. All right, we're going to call the April 11th, 2022 regular council meeting to order. Got an open mic session. I think I've got Anna Kim up first. Joe or Anna, just make sure the mic is on, please.
It's on.
Hello, hello.
Perfect.
There we go.
Welcome.
Hello, Wetaskiwin City Council. Thank you for the opportunity for us to speak to you this afternoon. I'm Joe Hoagland, and this is Anna Kim, and we are here to represent the Wetaskiwin District Heritage Museum Center's Youth Network. We, a group of youth aged 16 to 18, strive to keep the past alive for future generations to learn about, connect with, and to carry on cultural activities of the past. We are here as an open invitation for you to be involved in our next fundraiser, Pie a Politician. As Anna introduces it, I'm now going to hand out some letters with more details.
I already don't like where you're going with this.
So we, as the youth network of the Heritage Museum, are planning this fundraiser, and we ask each one of our illustrious city council members and our mayor to donate an afternoon of their time and their gorgeous faces in order to be pied by local citizens of Wetaskiwin. So the center, where the Heritage Museum is planning to put this event on May 29th, 2022 from 2 to 4 p.m. We will be fundraising for the Heritage Museum, so all funds will go back towards so that we can help the community even more. Now the event will include aspects of a pie social, so we're hoping to include local businesses and bakeries to auction off different goods, baked goods, over, my train of thought is lost.
As a community event, we will be including you, willing members of the City Council, a couple of local bakeries, the Katimavik volunteers currently in Wetaskiwin, the communities of Wetaskiwin, Wetaskiwin County, and Maskwacis, and us, the Youth Network. In addition to this fundraiser being designed to financially assist the museum, Pie a Politician is an amazing opportunity for citizens to come together and enjoy entertainment and education about our thriving community. This is also a great opportunity for you as our city councilors to network within the community and also to build connections between the members of city council itself. So we have given you each of a letter. We have given each of you a letter, and that contains more information as outlined in our presentation here, as well as ways to contact us. So do please contact us if you are willing, because it will be a great time, and we look forward to working with you on Pie Politician. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Anna.
I'm just going to say for the record, I had no idea until they presented it to me earlier, so this was not my goal to get back at everybody.
So you say.
So I say.
Are you deputy mayor in May? Oh, that's too bad. Megan Patterson.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for all your time and dedication to your city and allowing me to speak here today. And I'm just going to introduce myself for those of you that don't know who I am. My name is Megan Patterson. I am Exhibits and Programs Coordinator at the Wetaskiwin District Heritage Museum Center. People often get me confused with the great Dr. Aberley, and I'm just going to tell you now, I understand that you get to frequently hear from her, and she is my better version, so I will be sure to keep this concise. So this afternoon, I am here on behalf of the Canada Day Planning Committee. And first of all, I would like to thank Council and Administration for the generous budget that you provided for the day's events. We are really looking forward to having it. We are thrilled, basically, to be able to come together again and to celebrate our heritage and also have insight into what's happening in the world today and our identities as a whole community. So thank you for coming together as the city we share. Secondly, we also still need your help. So at this point in time, we are trying to put together a parade, and this is something similar that's happened in years past. And we also would like to put together a market. So I have brought some maps for city, and on those maps, it indicates a route that basically the committee has agreed upon at this point, and we are hoping for your approval and assistance in some road closures. And the parade part of it, in years past, it has been from the recreation center, where they marshal, and then they march up Main Street on 50th Avenue. This year, we are hoping to go past Jubilee Park. And this idea basically came from the fact that we would like families to be able to enjoy the park in order to be able to view the parade as it goes by. And it just allows for more seating, allows for more accessibility for residents and visitors. And also the market, as indicated on red on the map, typically that has been a location where it's been held in the past and has also been successful. The reason it has went there in the past is because the accessibility to washrooms at the Legion. The Legion hosts a wide variety of activities during that day. And basically it is in the downtown core or hub, so the residents have access to other activities, including at the Manluck Theatre, the Heritage Museum, and of course the ceremony at the Legion, and the parade itself. So the market is meant to feature local businesses, entrepreneurs, and the vendors there are basically charged a $10 fee per table. And yeah, at this point, I would like to ask council to give us permission to close those roads at certain times for the actual event that day. And if they have any questions at this point or feedback, we are always open to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Does this serve as formal notice where this will be brought back to council's consideration?
Through the chair, it does. The side street administration can approve, but Main Street for council will make sure it comes to the next meeting.
Perfect.
Thank you very
Good.
much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Stephen Bernardos.
Typically, that has been a location.
Sorry, that's just me. Audio works.
Hi, my name is Stephen Bernardos, and I'm here today to address what will be later on going into Committee of the Whole. The January 24th council meeting was addressed, and I had brought some issues that I've had, not just regarding the MCC that the meeting was about, but some other issues. So as Mr. Elliott so eloquently displayed on that day, that you're going to only show misinformation was his question. So I've got a copy of what your Committee of the Whole is today. So we're going to go over a couple of these questions. It says, has the city of Wetaskiwin been misappropriating money by taking funds from environmental services account and transferring into general revenue? It says the city's response, this question is still under investigation and will be reported on as soon as possible. Here are the answers to the MCC, and it is stated directly in your answers to the MCC that the city disseminated for public consumption. The city admits There was a lack of transfers to utilities that was inappropriately used as a surplus in the general budget. This has been corrected. We are grateful to members of the public for bringing this to our attention. As far as the administration can tell, transfer should have happened 3 times to the tune of, let me read this right, $45 million. Your guys' dissemination to the public. It says you guys misappropriated, or sorry, forgot to transfer $45 million. Let's go to the next question here. So, in truth and reality, the city's response should be, yes, we did, not, oh, we'll see as soon as possible. Could over $7 million have been put away in the last 4 years? This was another question I had asked. And it says here, as city continues to clean up our financial records, this information won't be available until the work is done. Again, here it says $45 million. So again, the answer should have been yes, and to the tune of $45 million. How is it that the individuals can come to you with misappropriations of monies and you do nothing about it whatsoever? That was the question again I asked. We cannot speak to the actions of previous members of city administration. Current staff are dedicated to ensuring that all citizens' concerns are handled correctly. Again, let's pass the buck. Ms. Sue Howard, when she was director of, let me get this correct here, she was director of municipal services. I had approached her with this question while she was giving a small business meeting at the West Side Fire Hall. Her response to me was, where'd you get the information? I had said, I got it off the internet. And she told me that you can't trust what you read off the internet, even though it was all derived from city financial records. So again, current administration that's passing the buck to previous administrations that were also involved in these conversations. So there was a couple other questions in here that had been misstated. One was to do with planting trees in a park, and the city, and a member of the city had offered to do it for you. The question was not that. It had to do with legacy projects, and it was not the planting of trees. It was the park by the new hospital, or by the old hospital, was the term in question here. So again, the question wasn't even relayed appropriately into your your misinformation here. We'll go to, is city withholding information? Here I had sent on February, I want to get the date right, I do believe it was February 23rd, I had sent information to all city council members regarding how long the city had known that the wastewater treatment plant had needed to be upgraded. The response that was written, again, in the city's dissemination to the public, was 2018. I had sent all city council members this direct quote, coming from the Wetaskiwin Times. During the June 10th council meeting, this is in 2019, Director of Municipal Services Sue Howard told the city, told councillors that the city's wastewater system, which is regulated by both Environment Canada and Environment Parks, is not compliant since the changes were made to Canada's waste system effluent reporting in 2012. So the article in the Times states that they've known about it since 2012 when the regulations was changed. Your dissemination to the public states 2018. I asked for a response of why such a discrepancy in the years. Two city councilors, Mr. Wayne Nielsen and Mr. Dean Billingsley, were the only ones to respond to that question. So again, we're talking about, do they deliberately withhold information? And they called it, the insinuation is insulting. When I look at information provided and I find a discrepancy and I bring it forth and no one chooses to do anything about it, the only assumption left is that they don't want to disseminate the actual information. So we have all of these misinformation to be corrected. From what I can tell by reading this, the only misinformation really was on the EPCOR, and EPCOR's notified the City Council needed upgrades. As a result, the city decided to end their contract with EPCOR instead of making those changes. And the city's response was EPCOR did the changes that they were brought in to do, and because the city figured they could operate the systems for cheaper than EPCOR, they decided to terminate the contract. My question at that point in time, or I guess you could say my accusation at that point in time, was the city knew of all of the upgrades that needed to be done and chose not to do it at that time and chose to release EPCOR from their contract. So what I guess I'm kind of really asking here is, why classify this as misinformation when pretty much, from what I can tell by reading it, there really wasn't any misinformation provided with the exception of maybe EPCOR. And, you know, I'm here to answer, take responsibility for, be accountable for the statements I made. Maybe a lesson that City Council could take and administration could take to heart, that when you say things and words come out of your mouth, you have to be held responsible for those words and for those actions. So I am here today for any of the City Council or administration members that would care to, you know, address some of this misinformation that they said I provided or that I stated, and I would be more than happy to clear that up at any point in time. Any questions?
Thanks for your time, Mr. Bernardos.
All of it. Open fine of 45 million.
Item 5A, approval of the minutes, regular council meeting of March 28th, 2022. Councillor Nielsen,
I'd like to move the adoption of the regular council meeting minutes of March 28, 2022.
moved by Councillor Nielsen. Any errors or omissions? Ready for the question? Those in favor? Carried unanimously.
I would now like to move the adoption of the budget deliberation meeting March 28, 2022.
Moved by Councillor Nielsen. Any errors or omissions? Ready for the question? Those in favor? Carried unanimously. Item 9A, our delegation, Citizens of the Month. Sorry.
Could we do an adoption of the agenda,
let's
please?
Let's adopt the agenda.
Thank you.
Councillor Blatz.
I have a notice of a motion coming forward for the next council meeting for April 25th. It's for Alberta Municipalities Convention Resolutions from the City of Wetaskiwin.
Perfect. Anything else for the agenda today? We could speak about combining committee of the whole and our regular council meeting. That will be 17E. Anything further? Your motion was for the agenda adoption, not just the, okay. Ready for the question? Those in favor? Carried unanimously. We have to redo the approval of the minutes after the adoption of the agenda. Okay. Nothing in the consent agenda. Now we'll go to delegation, Citizen of the Month for March 2022.
My apologies. Good afternoon. I am going to present what was shared to administration. So this report is to recognize James and Kayla Comet as Citizen of the Month for March 2022. James and Kayla were nominated by Benny and Gail Hansen, who shared the following information in the nomination paper as well as the attached documents. Since the Red Lion Street Society was founded in 2020 in the city of Wetaskiwin, James and Kayla have been contributors and have improved life in Wetaskiwin through a variety of examples, which are shared below. We appreciate the hard work and dedication of James and Kayla. I would like to thank them for the efforts of improving life in the city of Wetaskiwin.
I will entertain a motion. Go ahead.
I move that City Council recognize James and Kayla Comet as Citizens of the Month for March 2022.
Moved by Councillor Blatz. Any discussion? Councillor Aberley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just would like to say thank you very much for James and, is it Kayla? Kayla, because I haven't met Kayla. James and I had a really good discussion back in the summer, and I just really am glad that you're a member of our community. And so when I saw this come through on my package, I couldn't think of somebody more deserving. So thank you to both of you for everything you do for our community. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Well, first off, when this document came before me, I quite frankly couldn't believe the list and the length of the list in terms of the contributions you two have made to the community. And to see that it's gone on as long as it has and as often as it has is really, really impressive. So like Councillor Aberley, I really appreciate the fact that you're in our community and doing great things for our community. So thank you so very much.
I've had the opportunity to speak with both James and Kayla on some of the initiatives that they've taken in the community, and it's fantastic to see just two people who are giving back so much into the community. I'm really glad, and I feel like we're fortunate to have you two in our community to make sure that the events that kind of got put by the wayside and not really looked after, especially over the last 2 years, you guys definitely stepped up and made sure that those things happen. So I really want to thank you. And I'm sorry that you spent all winter making your car faster, but I don't think it's going to keep up. We'll have you come up and I'll present the award to you. We can do it just down here in front.
I will, right? So in all honesty, between, Yep. Hello? Hi. Between my wife and I, yeah, it's been a lot of work over the past 3 seasons, lots out of pocket. I mean, we made it a non-profit, not to line our pockets, but line the hearts and try and help as much as we can in the community. I'm here for 30 years. It's how long I bought my house, so I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to make the best of it. This year, though, 100%, not to be too humble about it, but I got 14 members and a big community of people that donate. And those good people in this town that have helped us maybe get to this point, they deserve that shout out too. So I want to thank everybody in the community, everybody here, and it's not just us. It takes a whole team to put this thing together, and it's an honor. It's going to go right up on the wall next to everything else the club has done. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you so much, guys.
Mayor Gandam, the delegation for the Central Alberta Rescue Diving Society are not present.
Okay, we'll move along to correspondence. Item 15A. Sorry? Yeah, they all have to stay.
That's the punishment that comes with it.
No, you guys don't have to stay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Correspondence, proposal to join our call to action. This was an email I received from the National Police Foundation. Council hasn't taken a position on this. We have through Alberta municipalities, the rural municipalities of Alberta both have opposing the proposed provincial police service as it's written. So just looking for direction from council. Councillor Billingsley.
For clarification, Tyler, the provincial government, in their opinion, believes that this is not going to cost any more money. And have they shown any information to prove that point?
No, other than so they're looking at two models, Model A and Model B, and I think they're looking at Model B as what would be the most similar to the RCMP level of service that we have right now. So the transition costs with Model B is $371 million, and they're going to spread that over 6 years. They're saying that there will be no closures of detachments and no increase to police funding. Your municipality will be determining the budget on your police service as we do now. And they can say that, but there's absolutely no way. First of all, the transition costs are, I believe, are understated. The city of Surrey right now is running 2 police services because they can't attract enough members to fully, to have a full complement of city of Surrey police. So they're running the RCMP and a Surrey municipal police force. Their transition costs are much higher. They were hoping for upwards of 40 to 50% of change from a member being an RCMP to going to Surrey, and they're now under 25% of those members that have made the transition. So, yes.
So what is the reasoning for, has the government given up, are they dissatisfied with the service that the RCMP has given?
They think the service can be better. And so a number of the initiatives that were in the PricewaterhouseCoopers report are definitely things that would improve a police service and things that the RCMP have already started to implement prior to that report being released. So there are definitely some changes that could be made, but without spending $371 million alone in just a transition cost, I think that we could create a better police service with the service that is currently in the province as opposed to transitioning to a provincial police service. So I fully support the opposition of changing to a provincial police service and staying with the RCMP with the understanding that some of the recommendations in the PwC report get implemented with the RCMP. I had the opportunity to attend one of the Government of Alberta Justice, what do they call it? Engagement. It wasn't an engagement, it was a lecture. And that's exactly what it came down to be. And Councillor Aberley had the opportunity to sit in on an NPF, or the National Police Foundation's rebuttal to that. So we can do nothing. We can accept it as information, or we can sign the letter opposing the change to a provincial police service. Councillor Blatz.
Do you know how many people have, or how many municipalities have signed the call to action?
I don't, but the majority, and I'm trying to remember what the vote total was. at the Spring Municipal Leaders Caucus to oppose it. It was
It was
high.
large.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was high. And I'm assuming that it was the same with the RMA. So over half, easily over half of the municipalities in Alberta, whether they're RMA or Alberta municipalities, have signed into this, or that are backing the RCMP and opposing the provincial police service.
Good stuff.
Councillor Aberley.
I would feel comfortable making a motion that we also back, similar to the way that Alberta municipalities did with not in support of, but taking in some of the recommendations. When I did attend the session that Mayor Ganton was talking about, to be perfectly honest, I went into it not really knowing what I was going into. It's, you know, those things. And when I was listening to who are now retired RCMP officers, but they were discussing it, I think the thing that I found the most surprising, and I have some notes here if you guys want to ask specific questions, but the thing I found most surprising was they hadn't done their, my opinion is the provincial government had not done their homework, in the sense of, it's nice as to, the idea was nice, but how are we going to get there? So they're under the understanding that RCMP officers will leave the RCMP fully trained to now come and work into a provincial police force, which is not the impression that you're getting from members of the RCMP as they talk. So put into that the additional costs that they're not building into already into it, that they would have to train members. It's not easy to even continue to get police officers of any kind now. So whether or not they'd even be able to function as their own police force is questionable, and what the quality of that police force would be, because it would still be, in my opinion, that the, I don't want to say the elite, but those members that are fully trained already would stay with the RCMP, and we would be actually taking steps backwards. And then there was also provincial fund, or excuse me, federal funding that happens, that gets put into special detachments, and Alberta wouldn't be eligible for that anymore. So
Not even special detachments. There's 100, right now, prior to the contract change, there's $180 million coming from the federal government. So that's part of our 30%. So Wetaskiwin pays a 70-30 split. Municipalities that are over 15,000 pay a 90-10.
Yeah.
That's part of that federal funding that Alberta sees and very likely won't see going forward.
And I don't believe, as we sit here and we're about to, it's my opinion, but as we're about to move our strategic direction, that this is a strategic direction for safety of this community in and of itself. I think we're better situated to move forward with the current policing that we have, with changes put in that we're recommending and that are being seen. So, thank you.
Part of the letter speaks to that too, is improving the current policing services, expanding police and crisis teams, working with communities, ensuring timely trials, prioritizing violent over nonviolent crimes, and then hiring more Crown prosecutors and appoint more provincial court judges, which we spoke about here at Council. Councillor Billingsley.
I'll make a motion. I move that City Council signs to the call to action letter to the provincial government.
Moved by Councillor Billingsley. Any further discussion? Ready for the question? Those in favor? Carried unanimously. You will correct the date on it and add my digital signature, please, and then email it to the NPF?
Yes, yeah, the deadline for it is April 15th, so that will be something I will get out tomorrow.
Perfect. Thank you. Item 16A, we've got in-camera session, section 24 and 25. Need a motion to go in camera. Councillor Blatz.
I move with the meeting in an in-camera session to discuss a matter which falls under Section 24 and 25 of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, exceptions to disclose.
Moved by Councillor Blatz. Those in favor? Carried unanimously. Are you giving her my? This felt so powerful with that kind of control. Good. Right, looking for a motion to come out of camera. Councillor Blatz, those in favor? Carried unanimously. 17A, tennis court rehabilitation project. Is Natasha presenting? Okay. Welcome, Natasha.
Can everyone hear me okay?
Karen's going to turn you up a little bit. Oh,
Okay.
not that much.
There we go.
Yeah, we're good.
Thank you.
Good.
So in front of you
Great.
today
Looking for a
is
motion
the
to come out
tennis
of
court
camera.
rehabilitation
Councillor
project.
Blatz,
This
those
is a
in favor?
project that council had originally
Carried
approved
unanimously.
$110,000 of funding for in the 2021 capital budget.
17A,
The
tennis court
objective of the project
rehabilitation
is to complete overdue.
Natasha, sorry, we're just having a little dub over
Gotcha.
of. Are we good? Yeah. Sorry, the previous part of the meeting was being played while you were speaking, so you're going to have to start over, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, no worries. Here it goes. So in front of you today is the tennis court rehabilitation project. So council originally approved 110 grand for this project during the 2021 capital budget to be funded from the federal gas tax fund. The objective of the project is to complete overdue repairs and restore the courts to a safe, playable condition. Administration originally tendered the project in July 2021. The quotes received were over budget and letters of regret were sent to the applicants. In January 2022, the project was tendered for a second time and 2 quotes for the projects were received. So also in 2021, we had applied for funding through the Canada Community Revitalization Fund, and we were approved. So the grant would cover the majority of the total project costs, and when the grant was applied for, the maximum amount from option 1 from the capital charter was considered. The remaining amount would be funded through city's MSI funding. So with the contribution from the grant and the approved funding from the 2021 capital budget, it would allow administration to proceed with option 1 and extend the useful life of the courts to 25 years. So today administration is seeking direction from council on what option to proceed with now that there is additional funding available through the Canada Community Revitalization Fund. So that concludes my presentation, and I would be happy to take any questions council may have.
Thank you. Councillor Nielsen.
I would like to move that City Council approve $220,000 to complete option 1 of CC 21-50004 tennis court rehabilitation project to be funded from MSI and the Canada Community Revitalization Fund.
Moved by Councillor Nielsen. Any discussion? Councillor Billingsley.
Natasha, my only question would be, when will this commence?
Through the chair to Councillor Billingsley. So I've been in contact with the contractor, and they would start the work in May, and they would have it complete by the end of August of this year.
Thank you.
Anything further? Ready for the question? Those in favor? Carried unanimously. Item 17B, Council's 10-year strategic plan, 2022 to 2032.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Sorry, I put these in the wrong order. So we have in front of you Council's draft 10-year strategic plan. We're hoping to get that approved today. And as well, we have put just the items that would be flowing into the corporate business plan for your information so that you could see what comes from your strategic plan down into the corporate business plan. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that piece, but if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them. So the council strategic plan comes from many days over the last few months of council meeting to determine what the future looks like for our community, specifically during your term and beyond. Obviously, the 50-year vision was a huge part of that, and so you see that as part of the vision. And then we took the 4 pillars that council had created. So goal 1 was the economy, goal 2 was safety, goal 3 was community, and goal 4 was the environment. And then each of the pieces that you see within there were measures of success that council had set. What will happen once approved is that this then becomes the basis for administration reporting back on our corporate business plan and the actions that we develop in order to meet your strategic goals. And we are happy to present this and hope that if there are any changes, we can talk about them, but otherwise we're looking for getting approval today.
Councillor Billingsley.
I move that City Council approves this Council Strategic Plan 2022 to 2032, which is attached.
Moved by Councillor Billingsley. Any discussion? Go ahead.
Nice work. It's very clean. It's an easy read, which is really good for me. And I appreciate all the hard work that went into it.
Yeah, thanks very much to the staff and council for putting all the time and effort into it. I agree. I think it reads really easily. It's pretty sharp. Ready for the question? Those in favor? Carried unanimously. Item 17C, notice of motion, land acknowledgement.
All right, thank you. So initially, I was going to be speaking to the motion that we have on our screens, but I have changed what my motion is going to be. I'm going to speak about this. So Councillor Elliott has mentioned a few months ago that including a land acknowledgement at the beginning of council meetings was a topic that was approached a few councils ago, and it wasn't successful at the time. I wanted to revive the conversation surrounding this, as I believe that that's an important part of reconciliation and building Indigenous relationships. Cities as big as Edmonton and Calgary to towns such as Bonnyville and Okotoks have started to include land acknowledgements at the beginning of their council meetings. The purpose of a land acknowledgement, as read from the Northwestern University, is a formal statement that recognizes and respects Indigenous peoples as traditional stewards of this land and the enduring relationship that exists between Indigenous peoples and their traditional territories. As a city that sits on rich Indigenous history, I firmly believe the land acknowledgement is a sign of respect to the land and the first peoples who were here before us. For years, we've been talking about celebrating our diversity and inclusivity, and I believe this is one of the ways that we can put that concept into action, continuing to build a respectful relationship with our Indigenous neighbors and the Indigenous citizens in our city. So for the new motion, it is that I move that City Council directs administration to explore options and bring back suggestions to Council regarding best practices for land acknowledgements for Council meetings by the June 13th meeting. And speaking to why I changed the motion, I have been kind of going back and forth between what the right way to go about this is over the past week, because I don't want it to be an impersonal thing, and I don't want it to just be something that every council can feel good about, that they just checked another box off for their part in reconciliation. I want it to be more meaningful than that, and so digging deeper and trying to find what works best for our municipality to make sure that it is meaningful and it isn't something that we just see as a formal process, I think is something that's really important.
Moved by Councillor Blatz. Any discussion? Councillor Everly.
Thank you, Mayor Gandam. I support this motion, and I would like to just add my opinion that we've been working with with Elder Ivy for a while, making sure that, I don't think that I have to put this in, but ensuring that we're speaking to elders that we work with and are familiar with as well onto how to best do that, and ideas that come from the heart. So that would be my recommendation more than anything. Thank you.
Councillor Nielsen.
Well, I'm really happy the motion's been changed because I've been wrestling with it as well. And I was very concerned, to be honest, that I would be that guy that voted against the motion, because I feel, and I didn't want to be perceived as being that guy that doesn't want to deal with issues of reconciliation. But I also didn't want to be just, let's check the box and say we do it every meeting, and boy, we've really accomplished something. So I really appreciate the change in the motion, and I will support the motion as well.
Anything further? Ready for the question? Those in favor? Carried unanimously. Item 17D, notice of motion, patio permits. Apparently, Councillor Aberley is going to speak to this.
Councillor Elliott. We would put forward a motion. Do I just do this? Okay.
Yeah.
I move that the City Council directs administration to make the required changes to the land use bylaw to allow commercial patio permits as an allowable use by June 13th, 2022. And I'll speak to the motion. This first was put forward by Councillor Elliott, but unfortunately he is not able to join us today. So my personal opinions towards it, I think that we have seen during COVID, we saw the 2 years as patios started to happen in our community, a variety of businesses having more opportunities for people to get together and really enjoy our city, as wonderful as it is. And I think that this is an opportunity. I know as a person who runs a business on Main Street, we may not have quite the ability for a patio permanently, but a few of us that are either restaurants or community groups have always talked about trying to how we can encourage more people down onto Main Street itself and other areas around us, restaurants around us, ideas that we can do to really just help bring people back into our community or get them out of their homes and into our communities. So I think that was a great idea, and I was really excited when I saw Councillor Elliott first make this motion.
Thank you.
I think that's all I have.
Anything further? Councillor Billingsley.
Going back a few years when Brady had his patio at the Iron Board?
Iron Board.
Yeah. What was in place then, and I don't know if so was it canceled that they were not allowed to have those temporary?
No, I think he had gotten special permission for that to extend the sidewalk as kind of a pilot project, and I just don't think that it must have been, I think it was shortly thereafter that the restaurant actually closed. So it wasn't that it wasn't permitted. I think it was just that it wasn't necessary.
Okay.
Councillor Nielsen.
Through the chair to Sue, I think. So Sue, what does this motion require you to do then? I mean, what are the processes that you go through to meet this motion's outcome?
Through the chair to Councillor Nielsen, Kathy's team would go forward, make a proposed recommendation, bring it forward to council by the June 13th meeting, which would, because it's a land use bylaw change, would automatically trigger a public consultation.
And would such a conversation also take into consideration liquor permits and things of that nature?
It would.
Thank you.
Anything further? Ready for the question? Those in favor? Carried unanimously. And sticking with notice of motions, Councillor Blatz has a notice of motion for Alberta Municipalities Resolution.
Hello again, everybody. Apparently, I really like to do notice of motions now. The Alberta Municipalities Convention is coming up pretty soon, and they require all resolutions to be coming in by the end of May. One of the resolutions that I want to speak to at the convention, if council approves that, which we'll be talking about in 2 weeks, is the vulnerable sectors checked. So when we have our nomination packages for municipal elections, I would like to see that there is a vulnerable sector check that is mandatory for all people putting their names in to become elected. And so that is one of the parts that I'm going to be speaking to and working on a resolution for. And then Mayor Gandam also had addresses of candidates that he would like to speak to as well, which I will get Mayor Gandam to speak to.
Part of our nomination package is obviously that you must live in the municipality that you're seeking, seeking the people to vote for you. Today is horrible for my ability to speak. I apologize. Anyways, but then those addresses they become public, and I would like to see that whether you're nominating or running for council or have been elected to council, I don't know that your address should become public information, and it works across the province and all municipalities. And following mine and Ms. Howard's lovely letter of how we should resign because they know where we live, letter that I don't think that should be, and whether that's how they know where I live or not is irrelevant. I don't know that should be public information. So I would support that resolution being made at Alberta Municipalities, and I would also speak in favor of it and support that resolution at Alberta Municipalities Annual Convention in September.
So what you spoke about wasn't about address?
Nope.
And could you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, so as elected officials, we deal with a lot of vulnerable information, like confidential documents and reading to kids in schools, and so we deal with the vulnerable public as well. And so currently, we do not have any regulations in place that elected officials need to have a vulnerable sector check, and so it's for the safety of the communities across Alberta that I would be looking into getting a vulnerable sector check as a mandatory requirement for an election package.
And who provides this check?
The police.
Okay. So notice motion doesn't need a motion, does it?
Through the chair, we'll bring back those to the next meeting, and
Right.
then council can vote on them.
Yeah, but in terms of her notice of motion does not require a motion. Just speaking to it. Okay. And item 17E, combining committee of the whole and the regular council meeting. So today is a really good example of, we had a 19-minute committee of the whole meeting and then broke until 1 o'clock to start our regular council meeting. And I think that our staff probably has better things to do than trying to guess when our committee of the whole meeting is going to be done to make sure that they've got work to do between that and our regular council meeting, or is one going to overlap into the other and then having to come back again to do the committee of the whole meeting. The City of Leduc now combines the committee of the whole with their regular council meeting so that they would start their meeting, they could break into committee of the whole. They would then be able to come out of committee of the whole if there was a motion that needed to be made, whether it was from a presentation or discussion made during committee of the whole. So they have the opportunity to be able to do both, and I just think it's a far more functional use of our time, far more efficient use of our time than having two separate meetings and not knowing when one's going to start and the other is going to end.
So is it two separate meetings, or is committee of the whole then?
Mike?
Sorry, thank you. So is the recommendation still two meetings, but you can come in and out, or does committee of the whole become
Part of the regular
part
council
of the
meeting.
regular? Thank you.
And Karen's got some information on that, so when the information comes back in 2 weeks to talk about it, she'll have how the city of Leduc, and I'm sure there's other municipalities that do as well, what that looks like in our agenda. So there's your two notice of motions.
I
Councillor
move to
Blatz.
adjourn.
Moved by Councillor Blatz. Those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Is anybody able to go to that PI politician on May 29th? One, two, are either of you?